Hello, and welcome to Cheers. That's one woman's opinion. I'm your host, Carolyn Mills. Today we'll be looking at Cheers Season 1, Episode 13, Now Pitching Sam Malone. This episode was directed by James Burrows. It was written by Glenn Charles, Les Charles, James Burrows, Ken Levine, and David Isaacs. The guest cast, Barbara Babcock as Lana. Um, I would be a fan of Barbara Babcock because I also like the TV show Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, in which she played Dorothea. And I've seen her in some other things too. She was really good. Rick Hill as Tibor Spetakovic. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Louise Tyant as, well, he played himself, Louise Tyant. Tyant died in 2024 from an undisclosed cause, and this was his only acting credit. It has something to do with sports. As I've told you before, I really don't know anything about sports outside of the Red Sox, and until 2004, I didn't know that much. I picked all Boston teams because of Cheers, with the exception of the Cowboys. Um, I used to like the Patriots, and then Tom Brady happened. I know, not a popular opinion, but not a fan. So I ended up going with the Cowboys as my favorite team. Okay, so Luis Tyant, oh, he was a baseball pitcher for the Boston Red Sox and the Cleveland Indians, which are now the Guardians, of course. Um, he was nicknamed El Ciante. He's from Mariano, Havana, Cuba. Um, he pitched in the 1970s, so it would have been around the same time as Sam. Did not know that. Interesting. So Jan Rabson. I'm not sure if his name is pronounced Jan or Jan. I tried to find it online and I could not find it anywhere. But he was the director, and he died. Not the director of the episode, the director in the episode for the commercial. He died in 2022 from a heart attack. Paul Vaughn is Paul, and John Ratzenberger as Cleveland. Now, you may recognize that Paul Vaughn is Paul, is not Paul Wrong. People are more used to later on. Paul Wilson is Paul. Paul Wilson comes later, and he actually plays a character named Glenn before he plays the character of Paul. And I believe Paul has two different last names, that Paul, but we'll see when we get to that. So we have our very first ever Cheers is filmed before a live studio audience, and it is spoken by George Wendt. James Burrows has explained this on various interviews that he's done that I've seen on TV and whatnot. The reason that they ended up adding this Cheers is filmed before a live studio audience before the episodes is people were writing into the show and saying, turn down your laugh track, it's too loud. And he said, it's not a laugh track, we're live, and the people in the audience are the ones that are laughing loudly, which is, of course, a good thing. So, our summary in our cold open, Coach tells Sam that it's his favorite time of day, 1:37. He asks Sam if he has a favorite. Sam says 8:15 is nice. Coach says he used to like 8:15, but he grew out of it. I like this because I do have a favorite time of day. It's 12:34. And I like it because it's the only four-digit time where it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So I like this. So Sam and Coach leave. Norm comes from the back yelling, wait a minute, I don't want to be locked up in this bar all night. And he gets progressively quieter. I thought this was interesting because he's on the inside. He should be able to get out. That he should not be locked in. And I get why they do this because he gets quieter, also because he realizes, oh, I'll pull him in a bar now with nobody to stop him from drinking all night. But before he comes to that realization, it didn't make any sense for him to say it because he could just open the door and go out. And if it was a case if he couldn't lock the door, he could easily call Sam and say, "Hey, go lock the bar. You left me in there, but I left." Or if it's already locked, maybe with a key, it just pull it shut. And I mean, I don't know how that works, but as far as him, he should have been able to get out with no problem. But I get the logic behind it to get him to this part. So he goes behind the bar and gets himself a beer from the tap. Where everybody knows your name plays. Norm comes into the bar. I believe this is the next day. So obviously at some point he figured it out that he could get out, or maybe Sam, our coach, realized he was still there. I don't know, but at some point he must have left because he comes in the morning. Well, some point in the day. I don't know if it's exactly the morning. Anyway, he says he had lunch at the Copley Plaza with a prospective employer. He tells him that he saw Teddy Kennedy. Now, for those of you who are younger, Teddy Kennedy was the youngest of the Kennedy brothers. There was Robert Kennedy, John Kennedy. There's some other Kennedys whose names I don't remember and where they fall into the family. And there's some sisters. And then there's Teddy Kennedy. He's the youngest. And he did actually run for president at one point, but he was the senator of Massachusetts for I think 523 years, give or take. Carla is impressed, and Diane says that she believes Teddy will be the next president, but Cliff disagrees. I'm saving that line though because it's from my favorite. Norm says that he got Kennedy's autograph when Kennedy was in the men's room. He pulls out a he pulls out his pocket. He pulls out a piece of paper from his pocket, and it says Marty Broder, and he says that he got the wrong stall. Lana and Tibor Petkovic come down from Melville's. The gang is all excited. And Carla points out because they know his name, he must be a professional athlete. And then she asks Cliff, or will he be the next president of the United States? Cliff tells Diane that Tibor is a Czechoslovakia's greatest hockey player. I was very happy when Czechoslovakia split up and became the Czech Republic and Slovakia. I think those are the right two. I know it's Czech Republic. My geography is not great, but I think the other one was Slovak. Yeah. Because Czechoslovakia, I have to really think about it pronounced correctly. So Sam tells her about how Tibor dressed as a woman, hid under a haystack, crawled under barbed wire, and swam a couple of rivers, then stowed away to get to the United States. Now, this is interesting, of course, because remember, this was 1982. The US and the USSR, which it was not Russia then, it was the USSR, and it had United Socialists. My geography's off. USSR, United Socialists. Okay, I'm gonna get this. The USSR was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, not United. So that's what the USSR was. Like I said, my geography's a little off. And it's been a while that, I mean, the USSR collapsed in 1991. So since this was 1982, they were also still together, and Czechoslovakia was under their rule. So that's why the whole getting to the United States was supposedly so hard. However, while Diana's impressed, Carlos says, yeah, the next day his teammates came over on the convoy. I mean, obviously people were coming over from Russia, from the USSR at that point, and we have Americans that went there. But it was hard. It was not like it, well, it's still kind of hard today because of what's going on, but it was different, I should say. I was two, so I'm only going by what I learned in history and what I remember, but you know. So Sam goes over and introduces himself to Tibor. Tibor tells him, your problem is your problem may be too much caffeine. I had to look this up because I wasn't familiar with it. And it's actually it started in 1979. I don't know how long it went on, but it was from a Sanka coffee commercial. And I'm assuming decaf. Since he says your problem is you have too much caffeine. Lana explains that Tibor is learning English by watching TV. She introduces herself to Sam, and he tells her that he is the boss at Cheers. Lana asks Sam if he's going to tell her what to do. Sam says she looks like a woman who knows what to do, and they continue to flirt. And I love it because Diane's like totally skeeved out by their flirting. Carla tells Lana that Sam used to play for the Red Sox. Lana asks her, who does he play with now? This actually reminds me of a line that Norm says later on regarding Sam in a different episode in the Rebecca Howe years. So I'm going to save it for again. I don't know, doing boy, too early. Those are just sorry, my allergies right now. But yeah, so they continue to flirt. Oh yeah, Carla tells Lana, "You give broads a good name," which is funny because you expect her to say you give broads a bad name. But then again, it is Carla. Lana asks Diane about Sam. Diane tells her that Sam is available. Lana tells Tibor to go to the garden. That would be Madison Square Garden, which we also learned another episode, if you didn't already know from just sports in general, that not Madison Square Garden, sorry, wrong state. I'm in New York. Boston Garden, which underneath the basketball court thing. No sports. The flooring for the bat is underneath is the ice, and that's gonna obviously be in another episode also in the Rebecca years. I feel like I'm a little off today because here's what happened this morning. I had to take my dog Elvis. I took Elvis to the vet because he had an appointment at 10 in the morning. Still don't have a car. Working on getting that. So we walk, and it's about 40 minutes each way. And I've been running nonstop the entire day. In fact, I'm recording this late. In fact, I usually do it not on the day. That's how I do it. I don't like to do it too far in advance because I have to save them all until I get in. I don't want to mess that up because I'm new at this. But I usually try to do it at least the day before. And it's just been so hectic. So I'm trying to get this done so it's up there by 9 for you all. But yeah, it's been crazy. So if I seem a little rushed and a little weird today, well, I'm always weird. If I seem a little rushed and just bear with me. I'm trying. It's just been that kind of a day. So Ron, so I was talking about the garden and we got that straight out. He asked, Tibor asked if he should go to her room later. Lana tells him no, she'll be busy. Lana's a little bit slutty, ain't she? Tibor says goodbye as he's leaving. He adds, "This concludes another day of broadcasting." This one I was familiar with in my early years of being alive, the early 80s at least. I remember this briefly, where they would at the end of a day, apparently this was a radio too, but I only knew it from television. At the end of a day, I think it was around 11:30 midnight, I think it happened. These stations, which there weren't as many, of course, they would announce this concludes another day of broadcasting. The national anthem would play, and then it would be all fuzzy and snowy. And of course, we'd turn TV off and go to bed. This is before TV was on 24/7. In fact, in one of my other favorite shows, which is Full House, Stephanie makes a point of saying she doesn't like when she can't sleep because they play the national anthem, then she has to get up and stand because it's the national anthem. So Norm says that Tibor should think about wearing a helmet, referring to the way he's acting with the line, of course. The line there. Lana apologizes to Sam for not remembering that he was an athlete. She asks him if he has been any acting experience. Sam tells her that he had the lead in school play when he was younger, and what he describes is basically the Scottish play. Sam tells her, no, It was called How Boots Fooled the King. Diane is very amused because she realizes just how smart Lana is, and how not so smart, to put it mildly, that Sam Malone was. Diane tells Sam to be careful because Lana is not like the usual women he dates, meaning they're not bimbos. She says that she is not fond of most women he dates, but at least they were too stupid to be harmful. Lana offers Sam a chance to do a commercial, but Sam is hesitant. Coach encourages him to do it, and Sam tells Lana that he's always thought he would be good at doing commercials. She tells him to come to the Ritz later, where she is staying, and they can work out the details. The gang is watching Sam do the beer commercial for Field's Beer. He says the slogan for the beer: "You don't feel full with Fields, you just feel fine." I really like the slogan because I love alliteration. And for those of you who are not familiar with poetry and writing, I'm a published author. I write 6 books, and I pour their poetry. But anyway, alliteration is when you repeat the first sound. So you've got feel full, Fields feel fun. Love it. You don't feel full Fields, you just feel fun. The gang cheer for Sam, but Sam is not thrilled. Norm orders a Fields beer, explaining he normally wouldn't use it to shampoo his dog. And yes, Norm really does have a dog because we see that in another scene where you, in the cold open, looks like he's talking to his boy Vera and turns out to be a dog. We don't see the dog, it's all done by voiceovers and whatnot. We just see his house. But that's later on too. It's still in the Diane years. But I was wondering, and maybe any of you can give me insight on this. Do people actually bathe their dog with beer? Because that seems kind of strange that he said he wouldn't bathe his dog with this brand of beer. But then again, it's Norm, and I'm pretty sure Norm's an alcoholic, even though they don't ever say that. So it's been implied a couple times, but never been directly he is an alcoholic like they do with Sam Malone. So I was curious about that. Diane asks Sam if he wants to talk. Sam gets angry and denies that anything is wrong. Cliff tells Sam that Lana's hot and is earning her 10%. Sam tells them all to leave him alone. Diane demands that he goes to the office to talk to her. In the office, Diane tries to figure out why Sam is upset, but Sam doesn't want to talk about it. Diane starts asking questions. When she asks, "Are you happy with your agent?" He says, "Oh, God." Diane asks him about it, and Sam asks her if she really wants to know about his relationship with another woman. I thought this line was strange at this point in the show. I could see it later on after the first season, because obviously when they get together and then they break up and get together and break up, you know how that all went. Um, I don't get this line now because they have never actually dated. So why would she care about his other women? And she's used to them, so I don't know why that would be a problem. Unless just because she doesn't approve of his lifestyle or something. But yeah, it just seems weird to me that line. She suggests that they find an intellectual man to help. She opens up the office door and Cliff announces it's time for the ugliest tongue contest. She closes the door and explains all the intellectuals are busy. Sam tells Diane that he is sleeping with Lana. He calls it friend making, and I love this whole scene because he says he's never against leaving for friend making, and then he says now he's friend making on demand. So they never actually use the words making love, which I love. I don't know if at that point in the series 1982 you cannot say those words. I mean, in the 1950s you couldn't say pregnant, so I'm sure we've rushed obviously from that, but there's probably still words you couldn't say. Or it may have just been because of the joke, but either way, I love this whole scene. But he says he now feels like he has to perform on demand. Coach comes in to tell Sam that Lana is there. And that's a great scene too, because he doesn't know why he came in. He just knows that Lana's told him to tell Sam something. And Sam says, "Lana's here," and he's like, "Yeah, that's it." Sam tells Coach that Diane is helping him with a problem. Diane tells Coach about Sam's problem with Lana. Coach says he doesn't understand and then throws a rag on the floor and tells Sam to pick it up. When Sam bends over, Coach kicks him in the butt. Coach tells him to get out there and break up with Lana. and he keeps kicking him until he gets out there. Diane tells Coach, "That was wonderful. Sometimes your instinct just told you." Coach cuts her off and tells her there's a lot of customers and she needs to get back to work. Diane backs out of the office because she's afraid Coach is going to kick her in the rear next. Carla asks Lana if athletes are better in bed than regular men. Lana says she has no experience with regular men, and Carla says that she doesn't either, but she's trying to work her way up to one. Sam goes over to Lana. She tells him people saw and loved him in that commercial. And then she says that he has a chance to do a national commercial. She then starts putting with him again. Diane is watching all this and tells Coach. Coach yells, "Sam, I'm getting real mad now." And he looks like he's about ready to jump over the bar. Sam tells Lana that they can't be intimate anymore. She tells him that she would not drop him because they are not intimate, which was his fear. But she says that she's not a dragon lady. I learned here that dragon lady is what the equivalent to what we now refer to women as cougars. I tell you that's what a dragon lady was back then. But she does drop him because she says that you can't go from being intimate to working together. It just doesn't work out. So she kind of contradicts herself, of course. She says she wants to find a new face. Norm says that his face is new, and Lana tells him, "Good, you still have time to return it." Norm says to Sam, "She's good." Sam tells Lana, "Good luck finding someone to replace him." Lana replies, "If it takes me more than 6 minutes, I'll quit." Sam declares, "Boy, she is good." Diane asks Lana how she can live with herself, and Lana says that she can't. That is why she always has men around. Diane tells Lana that she can, that she, rather again, Diane tells Lana that she has been acting like an overage adolescent. And Lana finishes and says that she's an older woman. And Lana says that is also why she goes for younger men. This is how good Barbara Babcock looks and as far as aging going. She was born in 1937. Ted Danson was born in, yes, 1910. Danson was born in 1947. So they're about 10 years apart. And they found that she went for a young woman. I totally thought they were about the same age during this episode. And I point this out to people all the time that the actor may not be the age of the character, of course, but I didn't realize that as the actress that she was that much older than Ted Danson. And not that 10 years is a lot. But when they refer to the young woman, in my mind, I'm thinking she was like probably 30, 40 years older. Not just 10. So I was actually kind of surprised by that. But then I thought about it in Dr. Quinn, which I really love. She still does not look that old. And that's another 10, 20 years later. I forget exactly what year that was. I think it was sometime in the 90s that it came out. So yeah, she's definitely is aging very well. Unfortunately, right now, Barbara Babcock is struggling because she's been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. So it's been a little rough, and why she's retired, I assume. So yeah, a very lovely woman. She tells Diane, "Don't judge me until the bloom is off of your rose." She leaves, and Diane also admits she's good. Diane and Sam are the last two left in the bar. They watch his commercial again. Sam tries to get Diane to say that he was good. She says he was okay. But then she finally comes around and admits that he was good. And she also tells him that he did the right thing. He thanks her and says before she started working at Cheers, he never thought about morality and integrity. But she made him aware. She thanks him, and he tells her, "And that's why I'm firing you. You can leave your apron right there." And then she gives him a wry smile. I gave this episode 4 out of 5 beer nuts. Tibor cracked me up with his whole learning English through TV. I telling myself I was randomly quoting things even if it was out of context. And I also, as I pointed out, I always love Barbara Babcock. She's just great in everything she does. So it's a good show overall. The MVP for this episode I picked for I picked was Ted Danson. Um his whole I mean you see some character building. He even says at the end that he never thought about these things. So you can see that character being built even more in depth. And it's not your usual shallow Sammy. My favorite line when Cliff talks about the whole when Diane says about Teddy Kennedy being president, Cliff says that I figured out by my calculations our next president has to be named Yelmick McDowell. And of course, obviously Reagan was president at the time and he got reelected, so he was president again. And then his vice president, George Herbert Walker Bush, became the next president. But I actually love that name, Yelmick McDowell. The runner-up favorite line, Carla, uh-oh, Sammy's in trouble with Miss Chambers again. And the barflies yell, Sammy's in trouble with Miss Chambers. Sammy's in trouble with Miss Chambers. The reason I picked this as the runner-up is I love the facial expressions John Ratzenberger is making as Cliff. So good. Here's a little known fact. I was curious if Fields beer was real, so this is what I found out. There's a Fields premium beer made by LCN Brewing in Missouri, a Fields Brewing beer in Indiana, and a Fields Brewing Co. beer in Brisbane, Australia. I wonder which one makes you not feel cold but feel fine. Question of the week. This question is brought by I actually think I saw it on Internet Movie Database. Somebody put in the trivia about the fact that Sam's an alcoholic in the beer commercial. So my question for you this week, dear listeners, is do you think there's a problem with Sam, an alcoholic, doing a commercial for beer? Please let me know what you think about that. If you like this episode, please like, comment, subscribe, and you can answer that question or any questions you have or anything you want to talk about. We have the Cheers, That's One Woman's Opinion Facebook group that you can join at any time. We have the Cheers Instagram page, Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast. And of course, you can always email at cheersonewomanspodcast@gmail.com. Next week, we will be looking at season 1, episode 14, Let Me Count the Ways. And that's one woman's opinion.